Hello, guys, and welcome to this evening's webinar. So with the tips, tricks, and less well-known features of the Astera app. Very pleased to see so many of you also joined this evening's session. I'm Jesper, I'm working for Astera, and today we are going through some smaller tips and tricks, what is maybe not known. Some of you already might know them. I also brought actually some new features to show you here today. And we can happily announce that this version of the app is now available for both Android and iOS. So if you are sitting with your smartphone, tablet, whatsoever, you can download it right away. So this is some very good news to start with. Actually, this went through a few hours ago. So yeah, I'm very pleased and happy to be the first one actually to publish this. Good. The webinar will be around about 1 hour, where we go through the whole app and the features, tips and tricks. And you see the chat on the right side, where you are more than welcome just to shoot questions. I have some colleagues prepared and ready to answer all the questions you might have during this webinar. Good. Let's get started. So the first presentation screen, what you see here is keep the screen on. It's actually a little hidden feature, but it's also good to know depending on the current situation you are in. So we have the screen open here in the app. We want to open the main menu, the 3 lines up in the right corner. I will just close the tabs here, not to confuse you more than necessary. So we have the app settings a little bit further down. That one we open. And then you see here under the TalkBack Plus, we have the keep screen on. So this actually prevents the screen from going to blackout or standby. What happens when the tablet goes to standby mode? It disconnects the Bluetooth, which also means it disconnects to the Astera box. And when you then turn on the screen again, it will take a few seconds to reconnect to the Astera box. And if you really don't want this to happen, push this little keep on screen button. Good. So Astera lights are very easy to travel with and can in some occasions maybe be necessary for you, depending on if it's a gig abroad. Just be aware we have this with radio frequency regions, and it's actually changeable. So from Europe to, for instance, US is different regions. Very important is that you don't change this if you are using the Europe and changing to another region when you are staying in Europe. It's actually illegal. And so just keep the the buttons or the regions to the countries or the areas you are staying in. Where to find it? We go keep being here in the main menu, and we go to the app settings once again. Down here, which is highlighted with blue now, is the RF regions. Here we have some different kind of frequencies. So if you really are in Japan, change it to Japan. One thing is very important to remember here. When you change the region, you will have to repair all the lights to the app again. So by confirming here with the OK, it will clean out the slate and you repair the lights to be able to control the lights from the app once again. Good. I am sure that everyone knows this seamless runtime, or also here in the app called minimum runtime. So I guess everyone knows when we set this here from to 15 hours is only from when it's 100% charged. This is very important. The runtime is calculating from a 100% charge. Another thing is the little remote control. Can be easy just to give width if you want to change the basic colors. But as you see down in the bottom, you have the 3 different sizes of suns. This is not a brightness or a dimming, so it's not like it's 50% brightness, then 75 or 100. These refers directly to runtime. So also standing under the picture, what you see, the smallest one is 12 hours, and the middle one is 8 hours, and then 5 hours. Just a little thing to keep in mind before you think, oh, it's 50% brightness. Good. Another feature which we have had in the app for quite some time now, everyone should also be familiar with this, especially when they have the new app version. Let's close the main menu here, is this list of connected lights. So the TalkBack Plus gives us some opportunities. Of course, as you see here, the battery state, a very important thing, can be monitored even though if you have your lights connected with wireless DMX to a lighting desk. Another thing is that we can sort and filter, and we can diagnose lights. So when, let's say, you have been hanging up all the lights and you realize some of the DMX addresses are wrong, then you can say, okay, let's press one of the bulbs or in the right side of the app here, and then we can see, okay, it's that one, has the wrong DMX address, and then we can actually sort it out and change what we want to change within a few seconds. I want to show you this sort and filter, which can be very helpful in some situations. As you see on the right side, there's a lot of names or whatsoever called spotlights, wall right, main, running. We can actually tap this little sort and filter button up in the right corner here. Gives us some different possibilities where we can say we want to maybe sort it from the DMX addresses. Then you can still highlight, oh, this is this address, this, and so on. And you can, of course, sort it by battery state. You can also, we will also come to that, you can name your lights, and then you can sort it from A to Z, which also can be very helpful. Can be that you have been naming them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on, etc. Then you will actually have a pretty nice overview just by 2 clicks. So down here, which is sliding at the moment, I can sort. Let's say I want to see the wall left. Then it shows all the lights that are added to this specific group. Makes it fast and easy. Also, I can mark them separately, the bulbs, to see which ones it is. Or I can hold one bulb down and it marks all of them, which you also see here on the lights behind me. Good. Talking about this talkback is where it comes very handy regarding the magic wand. Not everyone knows it because it comes only visible when we just here you actually delete or erase the filter you have. The magic wand is a multiple function feature. So normally you could, like here, press one light, go into the settings and make the settings individually. But if you want to do it on all the lights, which is actually possible, we just push the arrow back here fast. Then the icon on the left side, you see the lights icon. We hold one of them down. You can also mark them individually by pressing them. Then up in the right corner, the magic wand appears. Just right up there. This we want to do. So here we have the possibility to actually make settings on the 9 lights selected, which you also see up at the top. You can see how many lights you already selected and can make the DMX addressing. I will come a little bit more into DMX a little bit later. You can do also the reset, or actually with the standby symbol, put them in standby, or you can highlight them all just like this. Good. Talking about standby, when we have the list and we already marked them all, we will go back now to the magic wand. So one way to do it is, like I said, pushing this little one here. It's sending to lights, and the lights will slowly go out here. It said 6 lights could not be reached. Then you will just simply do it again, and then we have accomplished what we wanted to do. We want to make them out of standby. I like the light here, so it looks very nice. Just pressing it again, and we are back in business. very important regarding the standby mode. So you also see on the screen, it takes 5% battery per day or 24 hours. This is very helpful if you do have a show in 5 hours or in 1 day. You can set it in standby, and then it's ready to leave the standby mode when you arrive. But then you also have to do some calculation that you lose some percentage of your battery time. So I just want to show you another way fast to put the lights in standby. We enter the main menu up in the right corner again, and then you have the enter standby menu. So you can say we enter standby directly now, or we can leave it again directly. So if I want to leave, or let's say enter standby now, we cannot be at the event site. We can actually leave the standby by pressing later, and we can choose a certain time. Very important here is that the Astera box is actually coded with the timer inside, so this has to be very close to the lights at all times, and of course not turned off would be very bad. The tablet you can take with, and you can do some other gigs with some Astera lights if needed. This is just the important thing to keep at site or on site. Good. Let me give you an example, because it can be a little bit difficult calculating. I hope I took an example with, which also makes sense for you when I try to explain this as good as I can. Let's say you have 3 show days and you have 2 standby days in between. The way to calculate it, you have the 2 standby days, 5% standby, it loses 5% every 24 hours. And because of the 2 days, we remove 10% from the 100% charge. That leaves us with 90% left. Since we have 3 show days, we can actually split this up. So simple calculation, we would have 30% for each day. I would like to have the lights running for 2 hours each of these 3 show days. So the way to calculate it is that I take the 2 hours I want them to run, divided by the 30%, so 0.3, and that leaves me with 6.7. So this is actually referring to the minimum runtime, what I have here. But we do not have some digits in between, so it would be realistic to set it to 7 hours. Then you also have a little bit on top and make sure that they don't just run out of battery during show. So this is actually the way to calculate it. I would probably not calculate it before and do it with some preparation. But now we would actually have our 2 hours with, the 2 hours would then be running through all 3 days, and still set them in standby mode after the show is done. Good. Coming back to this nice magic wand, we do have some different input selects. To explain you what we mean with this is that we have, for instance, the little remote control, we have the app control, we have wireless DMX, some of the lights you can control by wire. And this sheet, what you see here, actually the presentation will be available for download afterwards. So you can always pull this sheet up and actually compare, if you have this source, this input select, will this controlling possibility work? So I want to go here and mark all my lights, which is already done. Going to the magic wand one more time. Then you see the little box here with the app standing inside, also highlighting at the moment there. Here we have some different possibilities. So we could set it on auto, and I would recommend actually to set this every time just in case. Doesn't really matter if you have 4, 8, 100 lights. Let me give you an example on why I think this is important. You have a concert or a corporate event. You have a main stage where you have some Astera lights running on a lighting desk with wireless DMX. You have by the entrance 8 other lights, which you run from the tablet here, or the app. So if you would set all the lights to auto, and you still pair them, then somebody maybe would like to go and turn the lights off. You realize that the lights actually are off and want to turn them on because the show maybe starts in 1 hour. Since we have the input select in auto, the lights, wish I could show you the display, but when it turns on, it would say detecting input source. So if you would start to control your lighting desk on the main stage, then it would actually catch the lights in the entrance, and then you would control the whole thing at one time. So the entrance should be selected here to the app, and the others should be locked to the CRMX or the wireless DMX. When you do that, we intended, or actually have been making it so that you can't use the IR remote, so nobody can go and have some fun changing colors, and just to make every one of you safe when controlling the lights. That's why the input select is very important. But it's intended that this doesn't work. So it's not because that the light are broken or the IR stopped working. It's just a safety for you. Good. Just take the lights out of the standby mode here first. Okay. Like this and like this. Perfect. Going back to the list here. We do get a lot of questions about fixed installation. That's why I brought this subject or topic also with you today. I guess a lot of you maybe already installed some lights some places. Totally fair. I just want to give you some knowledge about fixing installing Astera lights. So it's not intended to install Astera lights, and we highly do not recommend it if you really don't know about battery behavior, all this kind of stuff. So we have some different settings what you also can make, or we have been making to make it even a little bit easier for you, even though we actually don't recommend it. It's never good for the battery to be fixed installed for half a year or so, or maybe even 1 month or 2 months. So let's go on here. We have something called DMX fail. Still doing with the magic wand, or you can press all the lights individually, up to you. I will choose to use the magic wand in this case. So down here you will see DMX failure. At the moment it says hold, which means when it loses connection to the Astera box or to a wireless Lumen radio, an Nova TX2 for instance, it will just keep running the same effect or program what it was running before the DMX fail. We also have some other possibilities where we can set it to emergency light. So if the signal should get lost, they will turn in white. The standalone. This is a setting you can make by yourself depending on the current situation, what you wanted to do. So we have just been giving some opportunities to choose by yourself depending on the gig or the job you are making. Coming back to the fixed installation, we have the AC fail. So let me try to explain this as good as I can. So we also have the different 4 tabs here, which says ignore. So let's say I fix these with a power supply. If the power should have a cut, it will ignore and just keep continuing doing the effect what you have been setting the light to. You also have the emergency light in this case. Many people, or a good example could be a tent party. You normally have this up in the ceiling hanging with the emergency light, so they turn on when you have a breakdown regarding your power. You can do the same here. So if you choose to fix install them in a tent, let's say over a weekend, 2 weeks, it can be a small festival, you can set this to emergency light so everything turns in white if the power should fail. You can also say they should black out, or in this case, when you fix install them, would power off probably be the best way. So if you have them, let's say on a nightclub, it could be on a set, you turn off the electricity before you go, the lights will power off. You come the next day, the lights will power on again. So what is very important here, when you use the lights, let's say in full brightness, the lights will at the same time not be charging because it uses too much to keep the brightness high. So the battery will actually be drained over some time. And when you don't recognize or are aware of this, you will become it will become to something we call deep discharge. So that's why you would probably have to turn off the light manually and then recharge the battery in some periods. So maybe over 2-3 weeks. However, it's just a little trick. If you really want to do this, we do not recommend this. I can't say it enough. Yes. So I still want to do this with the magic wand. I think it's a great tool, maybe because I'm lazy, but it goes very fast. And normally, as we all know, we have the display on the back of our lights with the display where we can set the DMX address. Super easy, fast, everyone knows how it goes. The Astera box you are running with in your pants here. So I mark all the lights. I want, for instance, yeah, it looks fine with this row here, pushing the magic wand. We have two possibilities. This one, which is marked at the moment here, will apply the same or assign the same DMX address to all the lights what we have been marking. The other thing is that we can say auto address. For instance, start address would be 1 in my case, and then press here. Then it will show how the DMX addresses are laying, also compared to when you patch it on your lighting desk. Simply just push send like this, and they will be successfully assigned. Perfect. So actually, when you had 100 lights, you could address them just by 2 clicks. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So we can go back. We can actually sort and filter by DMX address right there. Pressing the OK to confirm. Then we have them, and then we can highlight, this is number 1. This is the next one in the row, next, next, and so on. Because it actually assigns the addresses a little bit randomly, but that's why we have the sort and filter, so you can fast sort them out and do what you have to do. Good. There will be a future webinar about DMX controlling, setting up. There's actually quite some few methods to do this. So please follow just on our website, astera-led.com, at the Academy page. We have already announced the dates on these webinars, so please just keep yourself informed and register if you want to learn more about DMX, both wireless and wired. Good. So what you see here is resetting lights. I'm going to jump a little bit between all the features, not to make you too confused. So we have 4 actually different ways to reset lights. One is on the back of the lights, the ones who has a display. Simply just find the factory reset or the reset and reset. Then it will be red when this is done. The little AX3 doesn't have a display on the back, so just hold down the power button for approximately 5 seconds. After that, it will turn red and have been reset. So I'm not going to reset now. I have just prepared some sets, and when resetting, and you had them in groups, we'll erase the lights from being in these sets. Good. Let's go to the main menu just up in the right corner there, like this, and then we go to actions for all lights. This is the third way of resetting. So you see the reset lights on pair CRMX, which is highlighted now. In this case, the lights will start flickering. So we have actually 2 choices here. We can push the enter button. The fastest way, in my opinion, is taking the remote control, pressing the on, power on button, simply just applying or confirming that we want to reset. Then you can unpair the CRMX, or you can choose not to. up to you. This is very easy with the remote control. When you have 10 sets just next to each other, simply just point, push, 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 and you have reset all the lights when they get back from a rental job or a gig. What you normally used to do. Good. A third way, still being in the connected list of lights, is marking again. Oh, this magic wand is wonderful. Marking all the lights, and we will take the magic wand once again. Then you see the reset lights again. When we push, it simply just resets all the lights. If you have had the lights connected to a transmitter before, you will see in the CRMX not paired on the right side, will say unpair CRMX. It's not necessary really if you want to use the same transmitter over and over again, because they remember actually the transmitter you have had connected before. But if you want to use a new transmitter, you will for sure make sure that the CRMX also is unpaired, so you can pair another transmitter to the lights. Yes, perfect. This is probably the most funny feature of all. And I also believe that a lot of you already are familiar with this. When we go to actions for all lights here in the main menu, like this, we will have the theft alarm. Don't want to go so much into details, but it will lead me to my next topic. So here we have the siren. You can choose to have it on or off. I'm sure a lot of you have been laughing a lot about this, but in some of your cases can also be very helpful, especially for outside jobs or depending on the situation you are in. The sensitivity, try to play with it yourself and feel how sensitive it is when it's on the lowest here and then on the highest. Depends on how shaky the ground is, I guess. One very important thing regarding the theft alarm is the permanent, what you see at the very bottom there. You can set it to never. So it means when I take a light, I want to steal it, I just run with it. It's set to never now. And then it will keep blinking, and it will be beeping. When you set it down, it will continue the same effect or program what you have set before. Setting this to after 2 minutes, and I keep running for more than 2 minutes, the alarm will of course be permanent. Actually also set, it becomes totally useless. So what do we do? The light will keep beeping, blinking until the battery runs dead. When somebody maybe achieves to get it charged again, it will just keep continuing beeping. And actually, the only way to do the reset or get it out of the theft alarm mode is to get it back to the system. So it will be totally useless for these thieves or the ones who choose to steal them. I will show you how we can get it out of this theft alarm mode. Good. Moving on. So everyone knows it's paired with the app to the Astera box with Bluetooth and then to the lights. So what happens if the radio pin is forgotten and lights are in alarm mode? This is the very important thing now. So we have the radio pin and then we have a master pin. Yeah. Master pin, probably not all of you are aware about this. The master pin is a pin you set in the app. Let me try show you. You see the lowest tube here on the list, or in the bottom is called Jesper. I tried to change the name. When we just take the AX10 up in the top like this, we can actually set the master pin. You see the little tab down there called master pin not set, touch to set. Let's say you buy 8 lights. These 8 lights you have to do it individually. Push this button, master pin set, not set, touch to set. Also, if you have 48 lights, but it gives you some very, very good advantages. And it can also be very unlucky for you, but I will also come into that a bit later. So let's try to set this now. Current master pin. This is by default 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also written here in the in the presentation, so you can find it. Just download it, you will find it there. So we type in here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I choose my new master pin and I also confirm it. I'm going to say this the first time and 10 times more during the master pin here. Please do not forget this master pin and do not give this master pin to somebody you don't trust. Yeah. If it gets lost or something, and you will actually have to get it to a service center to get it reset properly. So just remember it, make yourself a note, send yourself an email, store it, a really safe place. So yeah, highly recommended. So we press OK here. Good. What I want to do, I just got my lights. I touch the name here in the top and I press the little lock icon. Now I tap in my master pin like this, done, and OK. Sorry, I have to change the name, otherwise it won't have an effect. So we call it Michael, like this. Type in my master pin, done, and OK. So what you see, the name has been changed now, which means that you actually gives the name to the light and it will always be there until it's changed again. Doesn't matter if you use 20 different Astera boxes, the name will be Michael, and uses other apps, the name will be Michael. It's like it's born with this name now. Yeah, good. So let's say you have a rental company. Just a good example. Can also be that you're doing productions yourself, but let's take it as you have a rental company. You have a set and you have given the Astera box width to the customer and also the tablet here. When we go back to the main menu, I have paired the lights already to 8202. The customer changes or chooses to use his own phone or tablet. The radio pin would probably be different. What happens is that the customer thinks it's very funny to have it in permanent alarm and moves all the lights, maybe forgets to turn them off. And then when you shake the case when they are in, the alarm will be permanent. So now the master pin becomes very, very handy. What we are going to do, just closing here, the main menu, going to advanced actions, and then you have master reset lights, like this. When you type this in, your master pin, mine is not very hard. Make yourself, your personal a little bit harder, so it's not 111 or so. It's, yeah. Pressing OK. The lights will start flickering just as the other way of resetting the lights. But now, because you know the master pin, which is attached to this specific light, you will be able to turn off the theft alarm. And also the radio pin will change actually to the one you currently have on your app, what you are resetting with. So let's say also that the customer are changing the radio pin coming home. You would basically have to pair and blue light all the lights. Would be a bit annoying when you have 150 lights. Then you just make the master reset lights and it will return to your radio pin what you currently have in your app. I hope this makes sense, and it for sure will make your life easier once you understand how to use this master pin. Perfect. So I'm jumping once again. Everyone knows probably this view, what we see here at the right side. This has been with from the very beginning. We can choose the sets or the groups, what we have been making, like this. And then we can simply just change the effects. Something that has been added lately at the end of 2019 is you see the 3 lines which is highlighted now, like this. Then they will be shown as a list. Yeah. You can still here on the left side choose which one you want to control or change the effect on. What is very nice with this is that you also have the little sun highlighted now, where you can directly change the brightness by moving the slider on this specific set, or you can actually double tap this, which I just did actually. No, sorry, in the little box on the left side, you can type in if you want it to be 23 instead of moving the slider like this. Yes. In this view, you will also be able to see the current effect running. I guess you all also are very well known with the app already. So I could take the wall left, push the effect like this, and then I can edit it right away, go back, and we already changed the effect on this set. If you are in doubt which lights are in the set, or maybe you have a few hundred lights, or let's say 16, 24, doesn't matter, then you can push here on the little bulb icon, and then you will fast acknowledge which lights are in this set. Good. Okay, I think I went through these slides, so I think we can move. Every one of you are probably familiar with all the effects that you could create yourself, also changing colors, normal static colors, and so on. What I want to show you here today is a little hidden feature. Some of you also might know it, but I think it's very important. Let's choose the blue here. Then we want to go to the editing tab, which is just right next to it, and will look like this. So now you see the little heart with the plus up in the right corner. That one we want to push, and then we make it as a favorite, but I want to edit this color. So the little pencil, which is visible right there, we will push. Good. There are two things. You see the RGB listed right down under each other. These are very useful if you have a color looking nice, or you think, oh, this is a great color. I want to have it on my lighting desk. So if I really like this color, you can take the RGB values and type into your lighting desk, and it will be exact the same color as you have been displaying in the app. If in another case you have a customer want to have the company logos, the company logo colors shown on the wall, and he comes with the RGB values, or you maybe find it on the internet, you can go down in the bottom here to the sRGB. And this place would be the right place to actually type in these internet RGB values or screen. Let's say it comes from a graphic program, then it's also right to type it in right there. Perfect. So let's say this looks very much like a Astera color actually. So we just scroll up here a bit, and I want to name it AsteraApp, for instance. And we want to make sure to save it with the little saving desk here up in the right corner. So now we named it. Of course, the color also symbolizes what you, but the thing is, if you have a customer coming regularly and you have to do this kind of setups, then you can favorite them on this favorite list, which is also the heart. And then you have all the often used colors, which you can just fast and easy choose between. Not everyone knows this, so yeah, you can favorite them fast, easy, pick and choose. Good. When we go back to this effect page, you will see some of the effects have actually been there from the very beginning when we had the app in the first place. However, there are some effects or some features which is not so well known. I have actually taken them with, maybe you know them. If not, I'm just happy to be able to give you some new information here today. Good. Let's move here. We have on the right side, the white flash. This is a flash button. So when we push that one time, we will probably be able to control like this. And then we push it one time. Then it will have a timer and be done in maybe 2 seconds. So the latch button is where it stays active no matter what. Can be like the blue here, turning it blue or into pink. Then it stays active unless we choose another effect. Let's change this pink one. Just closing this one here. So under the C1 tab, you see some different settings you can be making. Also the brightness, you can add some strobe. Here down in the very bottom, you have the latch and the flash. When I make this flash button on, you have the release delay. So here you can choose how long this effect should run and then go back to the effect what you have been choosing before. Let me give you an example here. Let's say, yeah, you can, of course, again, move the slider, but you can also double tap it like this and say, I want it to run for 2 seconds only. Confirm by pushing the OK. We now go back to this. I have been mentioning it so many times, but it's very important that you push the save button. Otherwise, you will be very sorry when trying to create some effects. They will be gone, and they will be gone. Just remember the saving icon up in the right corner. Good. So when we push this, go to the blue color here once again, you will see I have a little fade time here, so it looks nice and it looks smooth. Pushing the pink with the 2 will only be active for these 2 seconds and go directly back to the effect you have been choosing just before. This is something you also can try to just play with. You can do it with all the effects. So depending if you really just need to tap one time, the effect running for 3.5 seconds, this is also possible. Good. Then we move on. Another thing is the blackout. I have the 2 down here, but we just remove the tile here because I want to show you where to find it. Always creating or finding something new is by pressing the plus button up in the right corner, also highlighted now. Here is adding some standard programs or capture a current effect, but you have this down in the very bottom, the add a function. Here you find strobe flash, blackout, and you have a tap sync. Tap sync I will come to in a few seconds. Pressing the blackout here will apply it to the page. And as a new thing, you can actually choose where you want to lay it on the page to arrange a good overview for your own use. Here, good. Now it's here. Pressing it will turn them on. Blackout, I don't think I have to explain so much. Everyone should, or I hope you know what blackout means. A very important thing in this case, this is not referring to anything like standby. It will still be searching for sources that controls it, so it will use a lot more energy or a lot more battery. So when you really want to have them in standby mode for one whole day, just use the standby. The blackout is not the option. You will be surprised and have been losing a lot of battery during this time. Good. I am soon going to play some music for you. This is also some of the very first effects what we had in the app. You see these effects with the man standing like this. Yeah, Elvis or who did that. Pressing one of these will apply some effects to the lights what you have connected. What you see down in the bottom is the tap sync. So you can tap the beat. Can be you have a wedding and they are happy with some sound or music control. If you have this with the sound or the music control, the microphone is in the Astera box, just here in the bottom. So this has to be there. Yeah. I'm gonna try see if I can get a good bass kick out of my little smartphone here. Just turning it on, just a sec. Enjoy. So what you see down in the bottom is that actually the BPM is changing. Luckily, my phone is good enough, so I can be happy about that. But it's changing, of course, to the beat. So just place it near a subwoofer, then you are sure that it detects this beat. Good. So a new feature, or not a new, it came out in 2019 at the end of the year, which is something called layer effects. I just want to explain you shortly what it is, because we have a webinar already, And we also extended our participant list or the registration, so we can have 500 in a webinar at one time. Good, just a little public service info. So I want to have an empty page, which I have right here, pushing the plus button, and then actually just a new program. Just choose to put it right there. So what is very important is the setup before trying to control it with the layer effects. I have this running effect creating a flow set on the tubes. So 4 positions, 4 tubes. This is position 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the running one I have created just before we started here. Going back to my new program will allow me, of course, to edit this effect. Just gonna slide this to this little bar, which is the layer effects. This we made so you are able to have full control over your pixels and be more accurate. You see this long red line? This is symbolizing, let's say you have a long line of tubes, and making the flow set that to make it think that it's actually one long tube. This one we can move. I can't even show you here with my finger. I think you get the point, just laying this one down. I can move this. You also see it on the tubes. And then I can move it to the other side if I'm not really satisfied with the position. So I can position this, make it very small, or I can make it very big. The thing with the layer effects is that you can have, for instance, the red color running in the background, and you can add another layer and then maybe have some white blinking lights. So this is all about adding more layers or turning off, on. But Friday, you will be a much more wiser on this topic. Good. So let's move on from the layer effects. As I said in the beginning of this webinar, we have now the new version for the app, which is free to download already now. Maybe you already did it. And this is the most new feature what I can bring to you, the new scenes. So the scenes works like this. Also still quite new for me, guys. Bear with me. What you want to do is creating your sets, which you probably already created, like we have listed down here. We want to apply, let's say, to the wall left, we want to apply here I have a lot of stuff here, the blue color. Yeah? So they are changing slowly now, still with the fade. So create your effects like you want them to be. Going back here, applying to the wall right, just adding a new one. Sorry for that, just going here. And I want a white one to be right there. Just calling new program, it's okay. Then here on the tube's top and the tube's bottom, both of them here, I want everybody of them to make the rainbow when I actually choose to do this set. So here I want this to be 50% brightness, and the same for the tubes underneath, so the brightness are the same. Now we have some different effects running over these sets. We go now to the effect page like this. I want to go to here, and we push again the plus button up in the right corner. Now you see the add a scene. Maybe you also have the app open, so you can actually see this. Probably not created, or maybe you can try. Now it will show us all the sets what we have created from before. You see here the wall left and the wall right, and I want the tube's bottom and the tube's top in this very specific scene. I choose just to rename it fast, like this, call it Q20. So you have here, I don't know if you see it, the linked, which says linked right there. So these ones we want to make linked. So because the white color was modified. I can't link it, but I will show you how this works. And the two in the bottom, what we also need, is also linked. The master I also want to link like this. And then we create the set fast. Put it down in the left corner. Good. So now you see that all the lights are doing like this. What is very important in this, it's actually working that you can have some different effects applied to a lot of lights at the same time and change it maybe as cues. We go back here to the tile or the target list, where we choose to maybe change these here to a blue fire effect. Now I want to control them not through the scene, but through just the sets what we created. I also want these ones to run on 100%, and this one I want to have running on a 10%. What happens now, because we linked the brightness in the scene, when we choose this one what we created, it changes right away. Or we can do like this, the one we actually created before. When we go back, and the link means you see the brightness here has changed to the scene. If you do not link this will not happen. Then it will just stay on the current what we had at 100% and at 10%. The same works for the effects. So when you have the scene right here, you can go. Let me start from another point of view. You have down in the one we created with the two rainbows, you have the blue color up in the left corner of the scene tab. The blue color, what we attached and linked to this one, is the one in the very top, which I push now. When we then go to edit this tile, we want a green instead, like this, and save it. Then it also changes in the scene. If we didn't link the color, then it would not change it. I really hope this makes sense. So we have the Q1 here, for instance, going like this. Also with some linked where these are actually not linked, as you see. So the brightness are the same. We can push the next one here, applies the next scene. So because these are not really linked, you will not see the difference, but this one is 100% linked. So you have the spiral running on the tubes, and then the green assigned to the spotlights. Now we go back here, and you see the brightnesses has changed because we have chosen to link these brightnesses to the scene, and also compared to the effects. These spirals, the pink and the blue, are laying on this side. You see it up in the right corner. But what I want is actually to have on the blue one running a white one instead. Save it, and you will see that it's gone from blue to white down in the scene, just because we linked it. Yeah. Just, I hope you understood my explanation of the new scenes, which is available just now. Downloaded it, play with it, understand how it works, then you will get the feeling. That's a good suggestion what I have for you here today. Super, let's move on from the scenes here. Probably most of you would know this when we go to the main menu. Just closing this one. So talking about anti-flicker. All the tubes has a scrambled PWM to avoid the flicker. The spotlights not. Let's go to advanced actions here in the main menu. Pushing the anti-flicker gives us the possibility to set the frames per second or the hertz to be more precise to the equipment we use, the cameras, of course. You see down in the bottom, it's called high-speed PWM operative in AX5 only. This one. This we can turn on, and it will be the same scrambled PWM as the tubes. To be aware, you have to be aware about that it will take some more battery. Of course, the LEDs will get a bit darker. So just something to keep in mind when using this high-speed PWM. Good. Everyone wants to keep their their work, what they have been spending a lot of time making. So depending on, for instance, here I have a lot of effects. I would be very sorry just to throw it out. Could also be that I drop my tablet and all the information is lost. Therefore, we have the backup and restore. Go once again to the main menu up in the right corner. Then you can go to app settings, just almost in the bottom there. In the middle of everything, you find backup and restore. Can look at, I have been making a lot, but pressing the plus button up in the right corner, right there, makes it possible for me to save this as, for instance, Astera webinar, AsteraApp webinar. Okay, cool enough. And then we can write a date. It's not only making a backup or restore like that. It can also, you can actually also share this with your coworker. Let's say you have everything on your tablet. You are not able to come in that day. You can send it to your colleague and he will be able to transfer this file or make this backup file at his unit. Let's save this fast. It will be stored here down in the bottom. We can choose to restore the backup, or we can choose to press the share button up in the right corner. Send an email, make maybe your own folder if you want to save some different gigs or some different setups in the app what you have been making. Can be different productions you make every year. You have a lot of opportunities. Just make it how you want to make it. Good. Moving on to manuals. Manuals can, in many cases, be very useful. And instead of going to the web, okay, we have them actually free for download on our website. But going here in the main menu and closing the app settings, down in the very bottom, we have manuals. Here, all the manuals are available for all the lights. Can be that you need to troubleshoot fast, can be that you need to find out some specifications. Then you will always have it by hand. Just install it on your smartphone, tablet, whatever you work with. Always you can find the manuals as they are. A very important thing in this list is the DMX values for common colors version 2, just down in the very bottom, also highlighting at the moment right now, like this. If you are working, let's say, on a lighting desk, and we all know it's very hard to, with RGB, to hit maybe a 2700 white Kelvin, Kelvin white. Here you have the exact RGB values, which you can use just to type into your lighting desk, always by hand. Also all the gels here, depending if you think the mallard green are super nice, you want it in your lighting desk because you maybe use the lights with Lumen Radio, wireless DMX. Just type the RGB value in, you have it always by hand. Yeah. So we are constantly developing everything, firmware-wise, version-wise. Now the new app came out, the new version with the new features. And of course, we want to make sure that everything is proper updated, and we have the new firmwares. Actually, you don't have to think that much about it, because going to the main menu, here on the app settings, you will see lights background update. That one we push like this. It will list all the lights we have paired to the tablet here, and it will also tell us if the lights are up to date or if the lights are out of date. Normally when using the lights, they will do the background update, also pretty obvious, so you don't have to think about it. However, doing a big show would maybe be a good idea to turn off the auto update, because this here are transferring the firmware to here, and then it has to reboot to be able to install the new firmware. You can manually do it by turning on off, or you can actually tap one of the buttons here, will also tell you what to do. Just to make sure that they won't start reboot in the middle of a big show, small show, you are able to turn off the auto update just to be safe and sound during the show, and then you can update it maybe when you come home, play with it the day after. It will do it by itself. once you turn the auto update on again. Good. Maybe not many know it. We have some different versions of the app. You see the old one is called the AsteraApp Classic. It's only for Android. That's the big difference to the new one. The new one runs also on Apple products, the iOS. However, when doing backup and stuff, you can do backup and restore from the Classic to the new AsteraApp version. There is also some things to keep in mind. The new version of the app takes some more, what do you call it, processor maybe. So if you have an old unit or maybe a 7-inch, for instance, have been testing this, the 7-inch are a little bit shaky. So installing the new version on a 7-inch or older unit can be very, very slow. So there is some limitations, not 100%, but the app will be slow on an older unit. The newer phones like this one, 200 euro phone, works super fine with actually the new version of the app. You will have no problem. It all runs smooth, or a newer Apple tablet, for instance. Just something to be aware of. And if some of the features here are not displaying in your app, you have the old version of the app, the AsteraApp Classic, then make sure to download and install the new version. Of course, unless you are happy with the app version, then I don't have to say you have to do it, but yeah, just in case you are wondering. A little important information note, going back here to the main menu, is the very bottom at the button at the bottom is the About. Pushing that one will actually be able to show all the release notes. So you can also be sure that you have the latest firmware, because everything will be laying here. Also with the firmwares for the lights will also be standing in here. If we go down and see on the version 0.9, you will see firmware version 5.8.9 is the latest firmware for the lights, and the latest app update or version is the 11.14. Just a little info if you really want to keep yourself updated on this. Good. I can see that we have reached the end now. And just as a little info that the webinar has been recorded, you will be able to find this tomorrow on our webpage in the Academy menu. Just if you are in doubt or you want to replay it and look over it one time again. And if you during the webinar missed out on some, you didn't felt that we answered your question or something like this, please be my guest and write me an email. This is my personal one. Then I will take very good care of you and make sure that every question is being answered. So another thing, we do have a Facebook group, Astera users group. Be sure that you choose the official one. We all, us from Astera is with there, and a lot of other Astera users helping each other out, answering questions, answering questions. It's a very, very nice community, and people just helping each other out. Super, super, super cool. One thing left to say, guys, stay healthy, stay safe, and thank you for watching.